Good afternoon and welcome to the planning meeting today, held on the 15th of June. I'm Councillor Gary Marsh. I'm the chairman of this committee. To my left is my vice chairman, Councillor Mike Kennedy. To my right is Steve King, the team leader. To his right is Frankie Corral, who's our borrowed solicitor today. And to her right is Susan W, who's got the first planning meeting. Everybody in front of me are members of the committee, and in the corner are Democratic Services. Vice Chairman, before we go any further, could you read out the safety announcement, please?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is a safety announcement. The building fire alarm signal is a continuous two-tone alarm. On hearing the evacuation alarm, please leave the building by the nearest marked exit route. Follow the green signs to the assembly point, which is in the large staff car park opposite the entrance to the building. Anyone who cannot use the stairs will be helped by the officers present after other people have left. Please do not return to the building until told that it is safe to do so by an authorised officer. Also, please note that the whole of the council's site is a no smoking area. Filming is permitted from the public gallery, but members must please refrain from filming within the council chamber so as not to distract the meeting. Please could you also ensure that all mobile phones are switched to silent. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Right, we're going to go to the agenda. Item 1 on the agenda is apologies for absence, and we're all here, so no apologies. Thank you. Item 2 is receive declarations of interest from members in respect of any matter on the duty. Councillor Hitchcock.
Yes, I'd like to declare an interest in DM 231053. I'm a past member of the Crawley Down Football Club, and I had prior knowledge of this project prior to the application being made.
So what will you do? Recuse yourself?
I'll sit at the back.
And just sit at the back. Fine, thank you. Could you just switch your microphone off, please? Thank you. Anybody else? No? Thank you. Item 3 is to receive so I can sign the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 24th. That's our annual council meeting. Can you just put your hands up if you agree to that so I can sign those minutes accordingly? Thank you. Item 4 is to consider any items that I, as the chairman, agreed to take as open business. I have none. So we're going to slightly change the agenda order because we do have speakers, and it's, as the want, I tend to allow those to go first. So we're going to be going to page 87, and it is item 9 on our agenda. It's DM 221384, and this is the application in Sharpthorne. Susan.
Did you, item 4, to consider anything urgent?
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, I had none. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The application is for full planning permission for 13 dwellings on land adjacent to Cookhams and Top Road, Sharpthorne, and associated new access, including the creation of a community open space on the southern part of the site. This first slide just shows you the location of the site, which is on the south side of Top Road, and it's about 1.43 hectares, and it's fairly flat rectangular piece of undeveloped land. The site is currently wooded with several large trees, particularly along the western boundary. There is existing residential development to the west, east and north of the site. And to the south of the site, there is open farmland and woodland. The site is located within the built-up area boundary of Sharpthorne and is also within the high-wheeled AONB and lies within the 7K zone of influence of the Ashdown Forest Special Protection Area. As set out in the report, in terms of policy, the proposed development is within the built-up area of Sharpthorne. Therefore, the principle of additional windfall housing is acceptable under policy DP6 of the district plan. And the neighbourhood plan WHP7 also supports residential development in the built-up area of Sharpthorne. And in this case, in addition, this slide also shows that the site is allocated in the West Hoathley neighbourhood plan for a housing development of around 16 dwellings. The slide shows the 3 sites that are allocated for residential development, with the application site identified as WHCS06 on the plan. The policy states that around 16 dwellings could be developed on the site, with the southern area to remain as amenity space accessible to the general community. Turning now to the layout, the houses would be arranged with 8 of the dwellings fronting Top Road, comprising of 2 blocks of 4 terraced houses located either side of a new access, and these are shown as plots 1 to 4 and plots 10 to 13. To the rear of the site and separated from the houses fronting Top Road, there is a car barn and parking area. There would then be a row to the rear of 5 detached dwellings, each having a single-storey garage. The proposed houses would be a mix of 2, 3 and 4-bedroom houses. There will be a total of 29 car parking spaces with a further 5 for visitors, giving a total of 34 spaces. Secure cycle storage is provided within the garage, and the other properties would have cycle storage within the garden areas. To the east and west of the site, the boundaries are generously landscaped buffers with additional planting also proposed. The southern section, as in accordance with the neighbourhood plan, would be retained as open space for community use, and a new footpath is proposed from Top Road going into the site, and then a circular footpath around the site. This next slide just shows the access arrangements in more detail. This would be the new access, and this shows that there are clear visibility displays in either direction. Turning now to the elevations, this shows one of the block of the 4 terraced houses which would front Top Road, and a traditional design approach has been taken with a mix of window styles, including bay windows and canopies over the entrance doors. The proposed materials, as you can see on the slide, would be a combination of brickwork and tile hanging with grey or red-brown plain tiles, clay tiled roof and UPVC windows. The next slide shows the other of the terrace, which is plots 10 to 13, and again shows the terrace of 4 houses with a similar design to plots 1 to 4 and the same materials. This now shows the houses which are located to the rear of the site, and this is plots 5 and 6, and it shows that again they follow a traditional design, but there is a variation in the roof form, with one of them having pitched roof and the other a gable-fronted property. This is now plot 7 and 8, and again the traditional design and similar to the other plots with the gable-fronted and pitched roof. And this is the final one of the 5 houses, and that has a traditional roof, and you can see the garage located at the side. These slides show the street scene. This is the view from the rear of the site, so you have plots 5 to 9, and these are the detached 2-storey dwellings, and you can see the variations in roof form. And this will be the view from Top Road with the 2 pairs of terraced houses, 4 in each terrace, and then at the rear that would be plot 7 that you can see. Just finishing with some photographs of the site. This is Top Road, and the new access would be located approximately there, just above the bus stop. This shows the eastern side of the site. You can see it is heavily wooded at the moment, and this is the rear boundary of the site, and that's just a view from the interior of the site. And again, this shows the rear boundary with the open land beyond, and then again, views from within the site. So to summarise, the development is within the built-up area of Sharpthorne, so the principle of a housing development is acceptable, as I said earlier, under policy DP6, and the site is also an allocated site in the neighbourhood plan for around 16 dwellings. The design and layout of the development has been amended to address some of the concerns of the urban designer, and the scheme is now considered to be an appropriate design, size and scale, and it's in keeping with the wider street scene, and also preserves the character of the high-wheeled area of outstanding natural beauty. And it's not considered to cause any significant detrimental impact upon neighbouring amenities or any harm to parking or highway safety. And it's also considered acceptable in respect of landscaping, arboriculture, ecology and drainage, subject to the conditions set out in the report. One thing to note is that, as set out in the report, in terms of compliance with the neighbourhood plan, the policy does state that a public right-of-way should be sought through the site to link with an existing public footpath. But as set out in the report, while the aim is noted, it's clear that this could not be possible because the red line boundary of the site doesn't extend to that public footpath and there is private land in between. So for these reasons, the non-compliance of that part of the neighbourhood plan policy is considered acceptable. The recommendation is therefore for approval, subject to the completion of the satisfactory Section 1 legal agreement to secure the infrastructure contributions, and also the SAM and SANG in regards to the Ashdown Forest and the affordable housing. Thank you, Chairman.
Right, we do have two speakers. I'm calling Councillor Douglas Denham St Pinnock. He's the chairman of West Hoverley Parish Council. You have 2 minutes, and once you start talking, the green light will come on, and after 90 seconds it will go to amber, and then after that it will turn to red, and then I'll ask you to conclude within one sentence. Thank you. So when you start speaking, your time will start.
Right, thank you, Chairman, and also thank you for bringing it forward. Unwittingly, you are actually helping the COVID inquiry. I'll explain to you later.
Okay.
Members of the Planning Committee and officers too, thank you very much. My name is Douglas Denham St Pinnock. I'm the Chairman of West Hoverley Parish Council. I'm here in support of the application for the 13 houses at Cookham's. They are in our neighbourhood plan, and we are relieved that at last there was a proposal put forward to develop the site. Can I thank the planning officers for their consideration in allotting the Section 106 funds associated with the development to children's play space, to formal sport, and to community buildings. However, we couldn't find anything under local community infrastructure in the papers published on the planning website. And I have to admit, I have not ploughed through the agenda of this meeting. But I understand something like £8,851 is available for local community infrastructure. Please could you allocate this to the North Lane Public Lavatories and the Pavilion at North Lane Rec? Both will be used by the residents of Sharpthorne, including the development at Cookham's, because of their proximity to the primary school, which itself uses North Lane Rec on a regular basis. So it's simply an amenity for residents of Sharpthorne who walk up to the school in particular and to the playing fields. And that is my request, and that is the extent of my speaking. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Oh, sorry. Laura Black, you're the agent for this.
Yeah, that's right,
site.
yeah.
And you've heard me say that once you've get to 90 seconds, it will go to red, and then at the end of the red, I shall ask you to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, councillors. I'm Laura Black, Associate Planner at SLR, and I'm representing the applicant, Concept Developments, on this application. This is a full planning application for 13 dwellings and associated new access off Top Road, as well as the creation of a community open space on the southern part of the site. The site is within the built-up area of Sharpthorne, where the principle of residential development is acceptable. The site is also allocated in the West Hoveley neighbourhood plan for a residential development of around 16 dwellings. There are many benefits of the proposed scheme, some of which the planning officer has already touched upon. The proposal will bring about social and economic benefits through the delivery of 13 additional dwellings and would result in an increase in local spending in the community. 4 affordable houses are proposed, which comprise 30% of the proposed housing at the site and is therefore policy compliant. A new public footpath along the western boundary will be provided, linking the southern section of the site from Top Road, and a circular path created through the wooded area. A 15% net gain in biodiversity is proposed, which exceeds any policy requirement, and financial contributions will be secured by a legal agreement for service infrastructure, such as education, libraries, play and local community facilities. The Council's consultees have confirmed that there would be acceptable impacts in terms of landscaping, trees, ecology and drainage. In addition, no objections have been received from West Sussex County Council Highways, the League Local Flood Authority, Housing, Planning Policy, Archaeology, Urban Design, Environmental Health and Natural England. West Hoveley Parish Council have also confirmed they have no objections to the proposal. The development is appropriate in terms of its design and scale and is in keeping with the local area, preserving the character of the high-wheeled AONB. The proposal complies with the relevant local and neighbourhood plan policies, the NPPF, and is a form of sustainable development, which is supported by your officers. Therefore, it's requested this application is approved. Thank you.
Before I open it up to 6 monies be allocated to the request of the parish council. Susan?
Yeah, just to say that I have been liaising with the parish and the clerk there as to where the local community infrastructure money would go, and that's noted, and it's in draft form at the moment, so that can be included. So that's not a problem. Thank you.
Thank you. As is the want, I'm going to ask Councillor Brown to go first. This is your ward.
Thank you, Chairman. And I'd just like to say, as a parish councillor, I participated in the development of the neighbourhood plan, and this is the second of the 3 sites that were identified in the plan, as our officer pointed out, and we welcome it. I've got 2 questions. I guess maybe just make a further comment about the community infrastructure. Thank you for taking that on board. I'm aware of the fact your clerk's been in touch. That's good. We have a pavilion and we have a public lavatories on the North Lane Rack, which is the West Hoveley Parish Council's responsibility. And we're working and have been working for some time to upgrade those with difficulties. And so it's quite important that they're treated together because that's almost certainly what the parish council will do when in the fullness of time. Thank you. So that's the first one. The second one is a bit of clarification on the external lighting, which is on page 127 of the report. Here we're talking about consultation, and I wonder if you could confirm that there would be no street lighting, and what's being proposed here is restricted to time passive infrared or time delayed lighting on the outside of properties, and it's compliant with the ecology recommendations, bearing in mind that the West Hoveley parish doesn't have any street lighting at the moment, and also most people are aware of the problems with outside lighting and minimise the amount of outside lighting. So my final question is on page 117. And I looked, starting on page 117, we've got a list of approved plans at the top. The development hereby permitted shall be carried out in accordance with the approved plans listed in the schedule below. Well, there are no plans. And I came there because I was looking for the arboricultural report produced by Quaife Woodlands. It's an arboricultural survey and planning integration report, and it defines, amongst other things, the fencing to be established on the site to ensure the viability of the woodland, a short bit, a narrow bit of woodland on the west, where there's the proposed footpath, and on the east, there's a few trees there, and quite a substantial area to the south. And so it seemed to me that I'd like to know if that has been included. When you look at DP 37, now there's a condition here. I think it's condition 14. Which I'm struggling with not having paper copies.
Councillor Brown, can I just draw your attention to condition 6, the following page, exactly what you've just requested.
Condition 6, where is that?
It's the next page, 118.
118. Thank you.
Exactly what you've just requested is there. About the biodiversity.
Indeed, it may be that is that report is achieving condition 6, but the report's quite specific in that normally on a site that you're protecting 1 or 2 trees. In this case, there's a substantial area, and it's calling for specifically fencing off. And that's really the point that I was interested in. And then it goes on also to answer another question, which is the one I think on 14, about the development of the footpath, and it explains how to do that. So, Quaife Woodlands report. So thank you very much.
You want to answer the...
Thank you. I mean, there's quite a lot to go through there, but should I just go through in the order that you mentioned? Yeah. I mean, in terms of the 106, as we said before, that I think in total there's the local community infrastructure plus the leisure contributions, and so that will total just over 16,000. That would be used for the public conveniences, and you'll see the leisure officers' comments. That would be partly towards the pavilion as well. So does that answer?
Yes, I'm aware of that. Yeah. But to answer the infrastructure, the local infrastructure request, you've already said that you're looking at that.
Yeah. We answered the question of your chairman of your parish council, saying that's where the money's going to go. Susan?
Yeah, so, and then you mentioned this street lighting. Yeah, I mean, I've just checked, and there isn't a condition, but we can add a condition on for details of street lighting, to see what sort of lighting, because I'm aware in Sharpthorne there isn't any street lights, because I dealt with the Bluebell Lane one, and I know there we did have a condition, so I think we can add a condition on for details of lighting.
Okay.
In terms of the list of the approved plans, I mean, they should be on the agenda. No, they shouldn't be.
No.
No,
these are the conditions. On page 118, which was, 117, is the list of the conditions for the commencement of the...
Yeah, so I've only got the paragraph numbers, I haven't actually got page numbers. So,
oh, right,
yeah.
They're all there.
Yeah, okay, they are there. Okay, I couldn't
We'll
see.
add another condition with street lights on.
We'll add the street, okay, thank you, yeah. And in terms of the tree officer, obviously she was satisfied with the tree reports, but did ask for a condition regarding how that footpath would be created through the trees, and there is a condition on that.
Yeah, condition 14. Yeah, go on.
Thank you. The Woodland report is one thing, and this Quaife Woodlands is a second report that isn't really referred to anywhere. And forgive me, but it says here in Appendix A2, the development hereby permitted shall be carried out in accordance with the approved plans listed in the schedule below. And they're not listed.
We never have any plans on our committees. You find the plans on the website. The plans are always, you get the outline on the front of on page 87, the area, but all detailed plans you will find on the planning portal. What you're referring to is on page 120, condition 14, and about the trees. There's no dig areas around for the new footpath, thus protecting the trees. So what they do is you take on all the reports you get, and the officers will work with the reports, and they will come up with the appropriate condition. So that will satisfy there will be no damage, I would assume from there, no damage to any of the trees when the footpath goes in. That's standard practice when you're in the countryside, because we've had a couple of my village like that. So it does satisfy what you want. We don't have detailed plannings, because our documents would be about that high if we had all the plans attached to it. I know it says it at the top of the page, but we don't have that. Perhaps we might need to look at the wording of the conditions when we get that in future. Mr. King.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Just in respect of condition 2, what will happen is once the legal agreement is completed and the decision notice gets issued, at the foot of the decision notice, all of the conditions will be listed in full. Sorry, all of the plans will be listed in full. But I think for the reasons the Chairman said, we don't put them into the agenda, otherwise the agenda would just get expand and expand with pages that will just have dozens and dozens of references to particular plan numbers. But when the decision notice gets issued, it will have all of the approved plans listed, so everyone knows exactly what's been approved and what has to be built on site.
Happy with that?
Thank you very much. Can I be assured then that this report that I've referred to will be included in that list of plans?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Can you be assured?
Thank you. My question was, can I be assured that this Quaife Woodlands report will be included in that list of plans?
Well, it's unusual to include the actual reports. It's normally the plan numbers that we would, but obviously those, as the Chair said, they have been looked at by the tree officer, and she was satisfied with them, subject to that condition regarding the footpath. And obviously we have a landscaping plan as well.
They're on the website, what you're suggesting. We do not normally do it. You've been on the planning committee for nearly 4 years. So you know how it's done. We don't get all the reports. The reports are sent to the officer deals with it, and she will take advice from all the experts we have in the council, and then the condition will set up to that. So there will be probably a reference to that, but you won't get the report attached, because you can go onto the website now and see that report. Okay, so we don't need to have it included on again. Thank you. Your name briefly flashed up. Did you want to speak or not? Oh, you're leaning on it, were you? Okay. Does anybody, could you press your button, John? Thank you. Councillor Hitchcock.
This is addressed to Susan.
Yes,
through
yeah,
you, Chair. I noticed that we've got 4 social dwellings within the mix. Are they truly within the mix? Are they well integrated? That's my question. Truly within the mix, and are they well integrated?
In the Section 106 agreement, so they will be secured via the Section 1 agreement, so they will be truly in there, yeah.
Yeah. There's only 13 dwellings, so they're if there's 130 and they're all in one corner, you might have a case there, but not only 13. Councillor de Bell.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think this is, it looks a really nice group of houses, and I'm pleased to see that the locals are very keen on this development. What I'd like to have a look at, again, if I might, is the street scene pictures, because I couldn't for the life of me see how they sort of, apart from being a terrific Christmas card, I couldn't see how they actually, I couldn't see how they actually, I could see how yeah, that's fine. But they are,
The 2 blocks at the front and the 5 individual ones are at the back.
they're brilliant. It looks really nice, actually. Thank you very much.
It's a lovely part of the world. It is a lovely part of the world. Nobody else wishes to speak, so can I have a proposer, which I assume is going to be Councillor Brown, and a seconder, Councillor Sweatman? And can we have up on the recommendations, please? I won't read it all out. Could you put the... It's for the members of the public, they can see the recommendation. Can you put the recommendations up on the screen, please? Oh, thank you, they are up, sorry. There was a delay, sorry. Right, there's the recommendations. Recommendation A is what you're going to be voting for. And if you agree to it, can we have the screen? Green if you agree to it, red if you don't, and yellow if you abstain. We're all here, so we should have 12. I've got 2 people who have not voted.
Yep, just waiting for Councillor Bashar and Councillor Sweatman, please.
Yeah. Frankie, could you just read out, say, it's unanimous.
Oh, sorry. The vote is unanimous. It's just come up on the screen. There's a slight delay. Apologies.
Thank you. That has been approved. I hope you enjoyed your additional new houses in your village. Thank you. All right, we're going to, again, rejig the agenda. We're going to have item 8 on the agenda next, because I do have a speaker. And this is in my ward. This is DM 221680. And we're just going to wait for the officer to come in, swap over. And this is on page 49 of your report, or whatever it is on your digital page.
Thank you, Chairman. We have no updates for this application. The application is seeking full planning permission for the erection of guest accommodation together with parking and infrastructure at the Gardeners Arms, Southfield Road, Ardingly. The application site is located on the eastern side of Southfield Road, opposite the north gate to the Ardingly Showground, and to the south of the existing Gardeners Arms public house within an area currently used as an overflow car park. The rear of the site backs onto a wooded area, while the south there is a commercial unit and dwellings beyond. The application site is designated within the Mid Sussex District Plan as being within the countryside, within an area of outstanding natural beauty, and the Gardeners Arms itself is a Grade 2 listed building, which this is within the setting of. So the block plan shows the location of the L-shaped building to the rear of the car park. It will have 10 parking spaces to the front of it, 2 of which have been marked for disabled parking. And the proposal is also seeking to remove this landscaped strip in the middle to provide 11 car parking spaces, while the existing car park is also being shifted slightly forward to the west in order to provide sufficient space for cars to park. This will result in the removal of some existing trees along the frontage. However, replacement planting is proposed, and this has been secured by condition. The car park will provide a total of 55 car parking spaces. It will utilise the existing access arrangement, and West Sussex County Council Highways have raised no objection to the parking and access arrangements. The proposal would provide a 2-storey agricultural style building design. It will have an oak frame with weatherboarding walls, a clay tiled roof, which is considered of appropriate design as in keeping with the rural character of the area. The proposal will also result in the removal of the large leyland hedge which runs along the rear of the car park at the moment, which is considered to detract from the character of the area. And the building is, as I said, is set to the rear of the site and therefore will appear subservient in relation to the Gardeners Arms. Owing to the appropriate design and infill nature of the proposal, it is considered to not result in an isolated form of development and is considered to preserve the character of the wider area of outstanding natural beauty. For context, we have the side elevations, the first obviously being the northern side and the second the southern side. Here we can see the floor plans. The first one at the top is the ground floor. The proposal would provide 6 guest rooms on the ground floor with a linen, plant and cleaning cupboard, while on the first floor an additional 6, a total of 12 guest rooms will be provided, again with a cleaner's cupboard and linen store. And for context, here we have some pictures of the site. The first one is from the existing car park looking north towards the Gardeners Arms, with the overflow car park, the site of the proposal, on the right-hand side. The second photo is from the same spot, but looking more towards the location of the site. You can see the landscape strip in the middle, which is to be removed, and also beyond the very large leyland hedge, which is being removed as part of this proposal. And the final photo is looking south from the car park. You can't quite see it here, but there is the commercial building at the rear and the residential dwellings are set towards the front. The next photo here is just looking north along the existing access point. We can see the Gardeners Arms on the right-hand side. The accesses remain, as I said, remain unchanged. The next photo is looking from the access point towards the proposed overflow car park where the proposal will be located, and the final photo is looking south from the access point. As I've mentioned, the trees along the frontage are to be removed, but there will be replacement planting provided. And to summarise, the principle of a small-scale tourist-related development in the countryside is supported by the policies within the development plan. The proposal will provide 15 full-time employees, and a proposal of this type would support the rural economy. It is considered acceptable in terms of its design, size and scale, as both in keeping with the rural character and surrounding development, while also preserving the character of the wider area of outstanding natural beauty. The proposal is also considered acceptable in relation to neighbouring amenities, mitigation for the Ashdown Forest, which has been secured by a legal agreement. It's also considered acceptable in relation to highways, access and parking, drainage and sustainable construction. Weighing against the proposal is the loss of the existing trees and the less than substantial harm to the setting of the listed building. However, replacement planting is secured by condition, and the public benefits of supporting the rural economy with the provision of jobs and increased local spending are considered to outweigh the identified harm. As such, the benefits of the proposal are considered to outweigh the loss of the trees and less than substantial harm to the listed building, and is recommended the permission is granted subject to the conditions outlined in Appendix A. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Joseph. We do have a speaker. It's Mr. Oliver Wolf, who's the agent. You were in the room when I told you how it works. As soon as you start to speak in, the green light will come on, and you have 2 minutes, of which after 90 seconds it will turn to amber. When it goes to red, I'll ask you to conclude in one sentence, please. Okay, thank you. When you're ready, Mr. Wolf.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Oliver Wolf, and I'm a chartered planning consultant and the agent for this application. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. The application before you is recommended for permission and represents a good example of officers and applicants working together to achieve good planning outcomes. As noted in the committee report and within the submission, the proposal would enable small-scale tourist-related developments that would have several public benefits, including provision of a direct employment on site, additional employment during construction, additional spending in the local area by visitors, the increased resilience of a community asset through diversification, contribution to strategic access management and monitoring mitigation, and removal of the on-site non-native Leylandii trees. The application is supported by a robust evidence base, including ecology, heritage, highways, landscape and sustainability assessments. Additionally, the applicant has worked with officers to amend the design of the proposed accommodation block to overcome design-related concerns identified. The resulting building draws from the local vernacular and would use traditional materials such as oak framing, weatherboarding, and a clay-tiled roof to clearly be identifiable as a rural agricultural style building. And the following modifications have been made to the proposed building during the application. The roof has been reduced in height and hip to either end of the main ridge, and the amount of glazing on the front elevation has been reduced with different forms of glazing offering visual interest. Attractive design features such as the exposed oak frame would remain, and the proposed building would be one of a cohesive and elegant design that would fit effortlessly into the surrounding landscape and the setting of the existing public house. The proposed development would also be highly sustainable through building fabric and measures to reduce energy consumption by heating and lighting. Elsewhere on the site, additional parking, including additional disabled parking, would be provided for use by guests of the accommodation block and the public house. Furthermore, new landscaping will be installed to ensure the front of the site remains green and to provide screening of the car park. In summary, the applicant has worked with officers to develop a scheme that has significant public benefits and that accords with local and national policy. The applicant respectfully asks that you follow the officer's recommendation to grant consent for the proposed development. Thank you.
Last speaker. Right, now before I open up to the members, I'm going to speak first because it's my ward. And I thoroughly welcome this application. I haven't worked with the developer. I've stayed away from the officer because I wish to speak. But I do know this would be a welcome addition to the local area to provide low cost compared to some of the expensive hotels we have in the area. And it means that we'll have people who can enjoy the beautiful scenery that we have here. Just across the road, we've got Wakehurst and obviously the pub itself. And so I think it's an excellent idea, and I welcome comments from the floor. Thank you. Or not, as the case may be. Councillor de Bell.
Really, I think it's a lovely pub. It's smack opposite the showground, and I think it will attract people who want to spend a day there or whatever, to go to the show. So I fully approve.
Thank you. Councillor Henwood.
Just a few questions. Car parking, what would be the total capacity?
No, you asked the officer.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Right, total capacity, including, you mentioned 55 car parking spaces. Are those just for the guest accommodation, or is that the total capacity, including those people visiting the pub?
Could you switch yours off a second, Janice? Thank you.
So the total capacity, including the pub, would be 55 car parking spaces. So the combined total.
Okay. Another query, please. Large roof surface, there's no mention of any renewable energy. Now, that's part of the Mid Sussex District Council wish to encourage renewable energy. You've got a large roof space. So is it not, the developers suggest to put in photovoltaics or some sort of renewable energy? Could we not encourage this approach?
Yeah, obviously the policy supports the use of renewable energy. I think in terms of, while we do have quite a large roof slope, it's not quite clear on here, but the elevation I don't think really lends for a large amount of photovoltaics, because the main ridge front and rear slopes are east and west facing. It's normally the southern roof slope which is more prominent.
West, can be done west.
It can be done.
Yeah, before I go to Councillor Brown, I asked that question on more than one occasions. It's all done in the construction. You'll get more benefits for renewables out of the construction phase. Yes, having the photovoltaic cells on the top, but we are in an area of outstanding natural beauty, so you've got to take that into consideration as well.
Chairman, they could be tiles. They could blend in quite nicely if they adapted
In
it.
this case, it wasn't put in. And we can only discuss what we've got in front of us. Thank you. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Chairman. I've got a couple of questions on sustainability. If we could start off with the car parking, I was a little bit confused by the, excuse me. I was a little bit confused by the various scale plan drawings, so I went and had a look at the site. And I counted, I think, something like 51 car parking spaces there at the moment. And maybe you would confirm that. And I've heard that there will be 55 after this development. It's recognised that there's 12, each room will attract one extra car, and there's extra staffing as well. And, we know that the car park is very often inadequate and people have to park on the road. And that inconveniences local residents. So that's a question that I'd like to pose. The second one is about the sustainability and the comment from the County Council Highways officer to say their bus stops are located right outside the site, which is true, and footways linking the site, they don't say, but to Ardingly, which is true. The buses provide an opportunity for staff to travel to work in this mode of travel. Well, it's a 2-hourly bus service there, and it finishes in one direction at 6 or something, and the other direction at 8. So the odd person might, but in reality, the staff are going to be going there. I'd like to think they were going there by bicycle, but I can't see that either particularly, unless they live in Ardingly. I don't feel that that's a fair statement on sustainability. And my final thing is about the heritage statement and the Heritage Office's assessment of this. And they conclude that it's only just less than substantial harm. In other words, they don't like the chunky building, and I don't either. I think it's I think it's out of place, really. It's a sort of mock barn, and it's heavy sort of thing. You know, it doesn't look as though it was ever part of the building of the that now is the pub. It just completely. So I don't like it. That's my personal view. Thank you.
Joe?
In relation to the existing car parking, it's quite hard to tell to precisely what is there because the overflow car park isn't marked out as such. But obviously, this is proposing that it will provide 55 car parking spaces, and West Sussex County Council Highways have not raised an objection to that. They're happy with that provision for the pub and the guest accommodation. I take your point about the sustainability in terms of West Sussex comments about access. Obviously, that they're just highlighting that there are options that are available. So, you know, people may wish to come by a bus or by footpath, and I think there is a condition as well to secure cycle parking. So we are sort of encouraging that as well. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen anybody park on the road. I've seen people park in the lay-by opposite, but I don't think I've ever seen anybody park on the road on the grounds that after a nice meal, you might not have a car when you come back. Councillor Kenny. You're right, you're ready.
Okay. A question that may help me more than anyone else as a new person to the planning committee, and it's kind of historical. But I was intrigued that we had the parish council objecting, the tree officer objecting, and doubts from the conservation officer about the shape of the building. But here we have, you know, the planning officers recommending. I just wondered why some compromises along the way might not have, before we got here. For example, do all the trees at the front need to come down? Could some of them been maintained and still extended the parking? These are questions. I realise we can't resolve them all now, but it seems an unusual situation where several different branches speak with one voice and the planning officers with another. I don't know if anyone, either the chairman or Joe, could comment on that.
I'll answer that one. Then you can put me right if I got it horribly wrong. The officers, what he has to do, he has to weigh up the whole gambit. And yes, the trees are there, but yes, they're going to have to come down because everything's got to be shifted towards the road. But as you heard the officers say, they're going to put some sort of plants in there to try and mitigate. There's always this less than substantial harm. People don't quite understand that. You either have harm or you don't have harm, but there's that little bit in the middle where it's less substantial, which means, yeah, we may not like it, but on this basis, because it ticks a load of other boxes, we're going to go that way. And that's what the officer has to do. He has to weigh up everything, and then he'll come to a conclusion. And my fine gentleman next to me will conclude to make sure that he does come up with the right suggestion, and then it comes to us. That's how it normally works. Have I got that one right? I think you don't need to answer that one. Okay, Councillor Sweatman.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I was just going to recommend approval. I mean, I understand colleague over there about the town and parish council's observation. They're just advisory. If the applicant wanted to take down those trees, they're not TPO'd, so he could quieten his rights to do that. So I'm quite pleased that a landscape condition is in there, or he's going to replant the trees, so that's quite good. Obviously, we've heard that it brings 15 jobs into a rural economy, which is very important. The overall design of the building, it sits subservient to the actual pub itself, so it's not overbearing. And obviously, it brings money into the rural economy. So there's actually no reason I'm looking at this report to refuse it. We've got no planning reasons to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sweatman. Wise words indeed. I'm going to propose this one because it's my ward, and I'll take it as you as you can second that. So, can we put the recommendations up on the the screen, please? Actually, don't really need to, I can just recommend, I could read it out. It's recommended that the planning permission be approved subject to conditions outlined in Appendix A, which you've got in front of you. So can we vote accordingly? Green if you like it, red you don't, and yellow if you abstain. I've got one more person to vote. We're all here. 10-1-1.
10-4.
You have.
Sorry, the voting result is 10-4, 1 no, 1 abstention. The application is approved.
Thank you. I'm sure it will go down very well. Thank you. We're now going to go back to the agenda. So we're going to item 5. Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Thank you for your attendance. And it is...
We're going to 5.
yeah, we're going to go to your Oh, we've just got to borrow laptops. It is DM 230690, Barn Cottage Pavilion, Barn Cottage Lane, Haywards Heath, West Sussex. This is Mr. King. Those who've been on the committee for a while know all about this one. We've had it before many times. Have we? That's one before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just stretching it across. I'll just leave it there and someone else can move the slides forward. Yeah.
Don't think it's going to be extensive.
I don't think so. Okay, just in terms of updates, there's a couple of minor changes on the update sheet. Ward members, there's a correction there. I think the report might have been drafted before the election, so there's an update there. Paragraph 3.1 in the report, just correcting a typo. And then para 8.1, again, it's just replacing a sentence there just to correct the planning history on the site. So very briefly, to run through the application, seeks planning permission for the erection of a single-storey extension on the north side of the pavilion at Barn Cottage Pavilion, Barn Cottage Lane, Haywards Heath. So that's the application site there, outlined in red. The existing pavilion's a single-storey pitched roof building. As you can see, it's on the west side of the recreation ground. To the north, east and west is the recreation ground. Houses immediately to the west. And as is set out in the history, there's been previous applications here and a larger extension to the building, much larger extension, was approved to the south under reference DM 211758, and the application's only before committee because it's on land owned by Mid Sussex District Council. So just in a bit more detail, that's the block plan showing the proposed extension to the north of the building. It's the area slightly darker grey on the plan. We move on to the next slide. So the details of what's proposed are set out on page 10 of the committee report. Those are the existing elevations. It's quite a functional building. So the top left slide is the view you'd see if you're within the recreation ground. The bottom left is what you see from the street, so not a particularly attractive street frontage at the moment. We move on to the next slide. So that's the existing floor plan of the building. And the next slide should be the proposed elevations So you can see the extension on the northern side of the building. You can hopefully see the slightly dotted line on the left-hand drawing there that shows the extension. You'll see that there's a proposed new door going in on the street frontage with an accessible ramp to that door. The other elevation is the one facing the recreation ground, so you can see additional fenestration going in at the ground floor level to make it more usable and a better designed building. I think the next two slides just show the proposed end elevations of the extension. If we go on to the next one, that's the proposed floor plan. So you can see on the slide on the left-hand side, the top part of the building is the extension, so it provides additional usable floor space for that pavilion. I think the next slide should just be some photos that just show the existing pavilion. So as you can see, not a particularly attractive building. So the proposal will improve that street frontage and the elevations facing towards the recreation ground. In terms of the assessment of the application, that's dealt with in para 12 onwards of the report. The principle, we're content that that's an improvement to the facility, so policy compliant in terms of principle. The design, we think, is an improvement on what's there at the moment. In terms of residential amenity, that's dealt with on para 12, 13 onwards in the report. The extension's 30 metres away from the nearest houses on the opposite side of the road. In terms of car parking, there is no existing car parking for the building, and that situation won't change. There's no objection from the Highway Authority and no reason to think there'd be any highway safety issues associated with the development. Sustainability, that's dealt with on page para 12.2.3 onwards of the report, and it's therefore recommended for approval, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. King. We have seen this before many times, and it's always been welcome then when the district council actually puts their money in the pocket and extends community facilities, and that's what we're doing here. So, Councillor Swetman.
Thank you, Chairman. The only reason it's obviously, I think you mentioned, is that this application is here because we're the landowners.
And the building.
And the building. So this is a welcome use for the community. Looking at that building, they probably could do with an extension on it to make it a bit larger to meet the needs of the community. So I see no issues with this. The town council have no objections. They're quite happy with it. So is everyone else by the looks of things. So I recommend approval if there's no other board councillor here.
There isn't. Councillor Henwood.
Does that mean the Mid Sussex District Council are going to pay for this extension?
Well, yeah.
Is that, because I'd certainly vote for that.
Well, in that case, you better be voting for it.
Okay,
we own the building.
That's what I want.
It's not an issue.
It's not an issue for the planning committee, but yes, we do own the building. Yes, we are putting our hands in the pocket for this one. Okay. Right, and so in that case, I've got Councillor Swetman and should we have Councillor Henwood, because she was speaking, as the seconder. The recommendation, it is recommended that permission be granted subject to conditions listed in Appendix A, which you saw on the update sheet. Can we have people to vote, please? Green if you agree, red if you don't, and yellow if you abstain. Yep, we're all here.
The votes are in. It's a unanimous vote for approval.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for your attendance, your design, County Councillor, and I assume a user of the centre. Thank you. Right, we don't have to move any computers around this time. All right, this is item 6, pages 25. It's DM 23001. What's the first one of the year? Court Bushes Community Hub, Willow Way, Hurstpier Point, Essex. Again, the only reason it's here because we own the property and we own the land.
Thank you, Chairman. The application is to seek permission to locate 4 20-foot shipping containers in the car park of the Court Bushes Community Hub. The property is located off the northern side of Willow Way and is within the countryside. The access is located between 39 and 34 Willow Way, extends through an existing car park and the playground, and then through an extended access to the community hub and the car park, with the proposed shipping containers located in the northeastern corner. The built-up area boundary of Hurstpier Point is located along the rear boundaries of the properties, with open countryside beyond. To the eastern side is the Court Bushes recreation ground, which is just open fields. The block plan showing the location of the proposed 4 shipping containers. 3 indicated here are already on site during the site visit and are located on the existing car park. There is a mature screening around 3 sides of the car park with the trees and hedging, which largely obscures this area from view from neighbouring properties. The existing community hub building also obscures views when travelling towards the building. This just shows that the area that it would take up in total, which is 10.7 metres by 6 metres. So the storage units already on site are already used, and with the additional storage container would be used for the associated community groups and organisations that use the community hub, which unfortunately there isn't enough capacity within the building or the other buildings within the parish's control for the storage required. So this is required to maintain the facilities that they're providing within the existing building. Showing the elevations of the shipping containers, they're also in the progress of painting them, including the metal openings, to be dark green, and it'll be shown in the later photo as well. So in the top left shows the 3 that are there on site during the visit, and it's the left-hand one that's been painted green. So the others will be painted exactly the same, which is intended to reduce the visual impact as much as possible. The right-hand photo shows the distance to the community building and the car park, which has also been subsequently relayed as well. The bottom left is the shipping container with the neighbouring properties beyond with the planting, and they have their boundary fencing as well. And the bottom is just another viewpoint across the car park towards the shipping containers. Given the design and nature of shipping containers, they are generally considered to be of poor design and not generally considered acceptable due to their impact on the character of the area, in this instance, the character of the countryside. However, on balance, given the benefits of the proposal for the local community and the use of the local facilities, it's considered that the shipping containers are acceptable on a temporary basis with a condition given for 3 years from the date of the permission. This will allow for the immediate storage needs to be met and also provide time for a more adequate storage provision to be found. Due to this, officers consider that the proposal is acceptable and in accordance with the development plan and is recommended for approval. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Catherine. Now, let's slight deviate here. I've been in correspondence with the Hurstpier Point Parish Council and the 2 ward councillors down there, Councillor Jackson and Councillor Bennett, they've indicated their support for this, and they have requested, and it's in the gift of the committee, of which I cannot see a problem with it, for a 5-year extension instead of a 3-year temporary. But the proviso being is at the end of the 5 years, they will not come back for another temporary. That gives them plenty of time, because I understand the parish council have indicated to me that they will actively work with the community groups and the district council to find a permanent solution, whether it's on this site or not. And for that, I'm going to propose that we go for a recommendation of 5 years, and that'll be it. They can't come back. But for guidance, I'm going to ask Mr. King to give you the benefit of his more knowledge than mine. Mr. King.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, as you've said, it's within the gift of the Planning Committee to change the length of time for a temporary planning permission if you think that's the right way to go forward. Officers have recommended 3 years because we think that struck the right balance between allowing the parish council to keep the containers there to meet their immediate storage needs, but minimising the length of time that you had the containers on the site, which has been said in the presentation, wouldn't normally be a form of development that you want to see permanently in the countryside. In terms of the use of planning conditions, the guidance on that is set out in the planning practice guidance, and that sets out that temporary planning permissions are appropriate where a trial run for an activity might be needed, for example, or where it's expected that planning circumstances will change in a particular way at the end of the period, and that's what we're anticipating at the end of the period, whether that's 3 years or 5 years, that the parish council should have found another storage solution that's more acceptable. The PPG does go on to say that it will rarely be justifiable to grant a second temporary planning permission, except in cases where changing circumstances provide a clear rationale. Further permissions can normally be granted permanently or refused if there's clear justification for doing so. So, as I say, it's within the gift of the committee. If you think 5 years is appropriate, it's able to do so.
Thank you, Mr. King. That was the request that I received from the parish council, and it was on the understanding that they would work diligently to find a permanent location for this, whether, as I said before, on the site or elsewhere within the parish of Hurstpierpoint. So I will make a proposal that we will go for 5 years, and with the guidance that just been read out by Mr. King. But before, I'm only one of the committee. Councillor Henwood.
I just have a question. How long, apparently the 3 shipping containers have already been there, and I see in 2019 there was location of existing shipping containers. So how long have the present 3 shipping containers been on site already?
A while.
How long have they already been there?
We don't know how long they've been there. They put in the application and they were already there. We were not aware that they were there as a planning authority or as the owners of the land.
Well, in relevant planning history says that there was permission, proposed relocation of existing shipping container was granted. I think that was in 2019. Now, I'm just curious. I mean, that they haven't worked together yet. I'm not going to oppose this at all, but they haven't actually got their act together yet.
No, well, I was the portfolio holder when all this started to kick off. And it needed some nifty footwork between our legal department and our estates department at the time to try and to come to some sensible arrangement, because it was not good. And the recipient of the court bushes moved out because they were the ones holding up the potential for community use. I think you were here, Frank, at this time. And they moved away, and then the whole facility was opened up to the community. And in my talk through on Monday, I was told that it is very well used now, isn't it? It's incredibly well used. And as a result, it has grown. And obviously, our department, our estates department, have decided that, hang on a second, we've got to formalise this, hence the fact the planning application. But I think we need to take on board, because normally we'd only do 3 years. That's our standard procedure that we normally do. But I've had the request from the ward councillors and the parish councils, so this will be their one bite at the cherry, but we'll increase it to 5 years, say, and I'll pass it on to the next in 5 years' time. I shan't be here. Right, so anybody else wish to speak? Councillor Hitchcock.
I would be in support of 5 years. Looking at the pictures, it would appear that the containers are sited such that they're not going to cause significant amenity problems to the locals. This appears to be a very successful community setup, and I think it's in our remit to support them in what they're doing.
I totally concur. And speaking to Councillor Bennett, she said that car park rarely gets totally full, so it's not as if you're taking up permanent car parking spaces as such. Anybody else wish to speak? My Vice Chairman's going to propose this one, I think.
Yes, I'd be very happy to. Sorry. I'm very happy to propose.
And can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Hitchcock. So I've got a proposer and Councillor Hitchcock, and it's for temporary permission for 5 years, and subject to the guidelines that Mr. King read out, and it will be written up accordingly. And so can I ask people to vote accordingly as you normally would do, please? Green, if you support 5 years. Unanimous.
The vote is in, and it's unanimous yes. This application is approved.
Thank you. And last but not least, which Councillor Hitchcock is going to step away, is item 7, DM 231053, the Haven Centre, Hop House Lane, Crawley Down. This is Catherine again. Again, the only reason it is here, we own the facility. So that's the reason. Catherine.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to draw members' attention, first of all, to the update sheet under item 7, a slight change in the times for the lighting. So it's extending to 11 p.m. And then switched off afterwards. This is to align with previous approved variations of conditions under the previous lighting. This covers the eventuality of overtime, of extra time, and injury time, which can lead to the games extending on further, and this is just the safety of letting people exit the grounds with appropriate lighting. And this is something is the exception, not the rule, and most games will be finished and turned off by 10 p.m. So the site is located off the northern side of Hophurst Lane and is outside the built-up area of Crawley Down. The built-up area actually goes around the Haven Centre and is within the countryside. So the area is mainly residential, with a recently new cul-de-sac, the Beckers, to the western side, with many of the properties facing directly onto the Haven Centre and to the Crawley Down Football Club, with an area of trees and hedging in between. There is also the Haven Sports Field, which extends around the football club on 2 sides, and the associated car park with 1 residential property in between. The proposed block plans, there's a number of changes to the football ground. First of all is the replacement of the dugouts. They're also spaced further away from each other to meet their league requirements, and they're also larger as well, but of a very similar design. Then to the east is a replacement ball stop fence behind the goal to prevent any impact or flying balls across into the Beckers and the neighbouring properties, which is approximately here. There is also be changing to the lighting, so it'll be on the existing 6 poles around the pitch, but instead of the 24 lights, there'll be 16, with 2 on the centre line, and then 3 on each of the corners. This will have an improvement as there'll be less light spill overall and a more efficient lighting system. They have a diesel generator to currently assist with powering the lighting. However, with the new system, that will no longer be required and will also be removed as part of the application. It's just the image of the proposed dugouts, so that they are much larger than the existing, which will come up in the photos, but of a very similar design, less than a metre deep, and overall just under 6 metres in width as well, and further along the northern border of the football pitch. Just an image of the proposed ball stop fencing, so 20 metres long and 8 metres tall. So slightly, it is higher than the existing that's already there. It's 4 metres. However, this is to protect the amenities of the neighbours as the current ball stop fencing isn't sufficient. There is a mature hedging in between as well, so this is more to sort of protect them during the winter months, as well as blocking the sort of gap behind the goal. This is the imagery for the lighting system, so 3 lights on each of the corners again and 2 in the centre, and directing the light further into the pitch with less spill out. And the environmental health officer has commented on the application, has no objection, subject to compliance with the information provided, as well as the limits on when the lights can be used up to 11 p.m. now, and they are satisfied with that. Just some photos of the pitch. This is looking towards the Beckers. You see the top of the properties there, and the slightly lower hedging here. This is just the edge of the goal and the small stand to one side. So you can just about see that there's the top of the fencing, the netting here, and then there's another fence just in front as well with the green material here. The right-hand photo is showing the existing dugouts, so they will be separated further out along the northern boundary. So beyond the hedging is the sports field. The bottom left-hand photo shows the northern lights as they are at the moment, and then the right-hand side showing the Haven Centre beyond. Officers considered that with appropriate conditions, the proposal would is in principle acceptable and would improve the existing facilities for the local football club, and is considered acceptable in terms of the character and appearance of the area and would not cause significant harm to the amenities of neighbouring properties. Officers consider the proposal accords with the development plan and is recommended for approval. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Catherine. Actually, I think this is an excellent application because A, we're getting more energy efficient lighting, better lighting, more directed down. And we do know the generator was quite close-ish to the Beckers, which is a exception site, and that's going to be taken away. So again, it's a win for everybody there. Do I have anybody wish to speak? Nope. So can I have a recommendation?
Yes, I'd be happy again to propose this.
And Councillor Sweatman, second it. Can we go to the vote, please? Green if you agree. Red if you don't. Yeah, that's it, we're all here. Yeah, it's all unanimous.
The vote is unanimous for approval of this application.
Thank you. Miss Councillor Hitchcock, you can join us again. Oh, sorry, I should have said that's subject also to the additional condition to 11 o'clock. Yes. All right, so we'll go back onto our agenda. Item 10, questions pursuant to Council Rule Procedure 10.2, due notice of which has been given. I have none. So therefore, I will close the meeting at 5:25. And can I ask you just to remain in situ until we get the live feed closed?